To the results that we saw, and for Carlton, it was a relief, that was stated. It was also joyful, that was quite clear in what was being experienced on the field and in the terraces. A 6-week block, which has been in some ways just god-awful. It got snapped in an electrifying second quarter.
Some joy, more relief. Yeah, that's probably it. I'm just going to take this little moment in, if you don't mind. Coming into the bye, we probably get a smile for a little while. We haven't had that for quite a period of time. Won't lie, a little bit of relief as well.
Siren sounds at the MCG. Footy can be fun if you're a Carlton fan.
The boys are really stuck together, and it's just nice to get a win, mate, to be honest.
I'll enjoy the week respite. It's been a long time.
A big victory for the Blues, and boy did they need it.
For the first time since April 29. That footy in the second quarter is when you close your eyes and think of the best of Carlton last year. That was it. The willingness to go forward, the determination to move the game, the skill to do so from a team that had become so constipated in the way that it was played. It figured it out in one 30-minute block.
Yeah, I think if you're a Carlton fan, either at the game or at home, and you watch the first quarter, you go, oh, no, not again.
We're stuck.
Yeah, so, but then Michael Voss speaks post-game about the relief and the happiness. You could sense that in the second quarter. Once they started to play in a way that gave them instant gratification of either scoring or dominating around stoppages, whatever it might have been, you could see the shoulders drop, and then just the pressure release, and then their game was up and about. They were hard to stop after that, but I think it was a 9-goal second term. And then, their run and gun game got back. Their forward started to move. So everything in that quarter just clicked. And that's a good spot to be in. I couldn't imagine what they felt driving home from the ground, back to their homes, and just feeling that instant relief of, we've got one win on the board.
We can still do this.
Into a break, and let's just...
It makes the world of difference going to a break, and I would think as much for the mental side of things as anything, and being able to return with something to build on. Now, nobody's saying that this will light the way, but it could, as we've seen teams rediscover it, shed the burden which had been sitting so heavily on them, and now it's to them now. See if you can figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely they can. And this is, this break for them is probably the most important break, because we've seen the results of the teams coming back from breaks, and sides and coaches, and we'll ask the two coaches here tonight how you navigate that. This is an important week for the Carlton Football Club if they want to make finals.
Yeah, so if the winning was joyful on that front, the losing was horrid for a couple. The scratch-your-head performances, one team that didn't turn up and one team that so rarely gets a look at the MCG, and it was a real blot on what they'd been building.
Is there anything you can take out today?
Probably not.
The first quarter was really positive, but then just really dramatically fell away. How did you sort of see how that happened?
It's the biggest loss ever for Fremantle under Justin Longmuir.
They were lethargic today. Some of their defensive stuff was embarrassing.
We're all pretty flat in the rooms after that. We were ordinary in all phases. We got beaten up. So, yeah, that's not good enough. We weren't a well-prepared team, and that's what we want to be.
I was bitterly disappointed with the Gold Coast Suns. What they dished up was so poor.
Just missed opportunities. We let ourselves down today. We said we need to take responsibility, but it can't be a bear on our back because there's another game next week.
So it's time to see it now. They need to deliver because it is the black cloud that's hanging over the footy club.
Now we'll cop this on the chin and get back to work, and they understand the ramifications for a performance like that.
The Dockers first, Geordie. It was a performance so bad it was difficult to know where to start.
Yeah, it was, and their post-bye form hasn't been great, and that's the thing. Byes can come at really odd times for teams. Four wins leading into the bye, and then the 2 games post-bye have been, as it says there, a disaster for this football club. So you could see Longmuir in the press conference after it nearly had a smirk on his face because he was in disbelief on how poor they played. And it was infectious. You speak about the Carlton, the infectious nature in which they had their second quarter. The poor effort after poor effort just went ripped through their side. And you get a performance like that. I think it's the biggest loss under Justin Longmuir in his tenure as coach. Yeah, that is as disappointing of a game you can be involved in as a player.
So costly to the cause of the season.
Absolutely.
Like they'd had the stuttering start. They put a lot right, which was kudos to the coaching staff and to the players. But to relapse, or even worse than that, I imagine that makes for a pretty confronting review.
Yeah, and I went back and looked at Longmuir's press conference prior to the game just to see what the feeling was like, and he was pretty upbeat about the way that they performed the week prior, which was in the wet. They didn't perform well in the wet. They thought they had everything going coming into this game, and then you just get whacked in the face once again. And you're right, it's a reality check. It might derail their season. They need to get back on the horse really quickly.
And the Suns, just no response in that second quarter. So they got the Carlton wave that built. And all the plaudits that they'd been getting around the footy. That was the contested ball that has forged their reputation across this year.
Yep.
And that was absent when it really mattered at the MCG.
Yep. And I would imagine that's the disappointing thing for Dewey after the game, that the part of their game that has been so strong all season is probably the one part of their game that they can rely on, let them down so heavily. So, it's always hard to overcome that hurdle, and it's probably been about this time of the year for Gold Coast to overcome that mid-season break and then really make sure that all your energy and attention is forging towards finals. So right now you don't want those doubts to creep in again. I would imagine after a loss like they had on the weekend, there would have to be an inkling of that.